Okay. So
Kakak dah
if you're ready, so I pass to your group members. Okay. So good luck. You may start now.
Okay.
Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera, salam Malaysia Madani and a very good morning to respected and beloved members of the panel and audience. Dear audience, before I start the forum, allow me to tell the title of our forum today. First of all, my name is Iwana Atira binti Kamal Supardi. As the forum moderator, would like to explain briefly on the topic of our forum before I introduce our knowledgeable and thoughtful guest panel members, where they will comment more in depth on the topic of today's forum. Sexual harassment. What does that mean? Sexual harassment is a type of harassment involving the use of explicit or implicit sexual overtones, including the unwelcome and inappropriate promises of rewards in exchange for sexual favors that make someone feel upset, scared, offended, or humiliated, or is meant to make them feel that way. Sexual harassment can either be physical or verbal, maybe even both. Sexual harassment includes a range of actions from verbal transgressions to sexual abuse or assault. So next, without wasting time, I would like to introduce our invited panel members before they delve into today's forum topic. Let me start with the first invited panel, Mr. Azan Ashraf Abdullah, a counselor from Talanita Headline. How are you today, sir?
I am good, Mrs. Wana. Thank you for asking.
Next, I introduce Dr. Muhammad Mustaqim Nur Afendi as mental health professional at MIASA Malaysian Mental Health Association. I heard you just recovered from sore eyes where your eyes become watery and redness. How are you, doctor? Is your eyes good now?
Alhamdulillah, thank you for asking about my condition. That's very pleasant welcoming today. Alhamdulillah, my eyes is getting better. As you can see, there's no more redness. My 1 week of my sore eyes was very wild, but Alhamdulillah. So today I'm given chance to give forum to this event today. So Alhamdulillah, thank you for asking.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Next, our invitation of the third panel, Inspector Nur Aina Amir Zahani, as Chief Assistant Director of the Sexual, Women and Children Crime Investigation Division at Bandar Baru District Police Headquarters. How are you today, Chief?
Yeah, thanks for Mrs. Wana. Okay, today I'll feel good. Thanks.
Our introductory session from all the invitation panels is over. To continue our forum, allow me to ask the first question to Mr. Azran Ashraf. Sir, can you explain what is sexual harassment? What is your opinion about sexual harassment? And as a counselor, what is your advice for getting help after being sexually harassed?
Thanks, moderator, and everyone here for inviting me to give further information about sexual harassment at workplace. First of all, before I start answering the moderator question, I want to introduce myself once again. My name is Muhammad Azra Ashraf bin Abdullah, and I work at Talanita Headline as counselor. I have met a lot of people with different problems. I also met person who had the problem of sexual harassment. Now, I'm going to answer the first question of Mrs. Wana. Here's how I will discuss sexual harassment. Sexual harassment refers to any unwanted or offensive sexual remarks, approach, request for sexual favor, or other verbal or physical act of a sexual nature that contribute to a hostile or intimidatory atmosphere. Many people have mistaken that sexual harassment is only about physical assault, but it also includes your verbal. It is a form of gender-based discrimination that infringe on a person's rights and frequently occur at work, in educational setting, or in other social setting. There are numerous ways that sexual assault can happen. Now, I'm going to answer the second question. As a counselor, I believe that sexual harassment is a significant and intolerable violation of someone's rights and well-being. My job is to support, validate, and empower survivors while advancing campaigns for prevention and education that aim to make society a safer and more civil place. And for the last one, my advice for getting help after being sexually harassed are think about counseling. That is the first point. Speak with a therapist or counselor who focus on sexual harassment or trauma. They can help you cope with the physiological effect of the harassment by offering you emotional support and coping mechanism. Second point is know your rights. Know your right as a victim of sexual harassment, which may differ depending on where you are and the law that apply. Individuals are shielded from such behavior by law and regulation, and being aware of your rights gives you more authority to pursue justice. Precise evidence is the last point. If you have proof of the harassment, such as text message, email, or other paperwork, be sure to keep it safe and back it up. If you decide to take legal action, this evidence can be crucial. Keep in mind that you are not required to go through this process by yourself. To help you through the challenging process of confronting sexual harassment, enlist the aid of experts, friends, and support network. Your help is more important, and by taking action, you can create a safer, healthier environment for both you and other people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Azhar, for the explanation. A very effective explanation to understand. Now, I will ask Inspector Aina. Can you share what victims have to do when they want to make a report? In your experience, what are the most reports you often receive about sexual harassment? And how to avoid being a victim of sexual harassment?
Okay, Assalamualaikum everyone. Thank you to Mrs. Iwana. Thank you to the MMHA for inviting me to share my 10th-year experience in being responsible for sexual harassment cases. Okay, so the first one is when did the incident happen? Like the date and time of the events, you need to remember clearly. And second, where did the incident take place? Like during the incident, where the place happens. And third one, how did it happen and how many times did it happen to you? Fourth, who have involved and who has perpetrator needs to tell the characteristics you see or male or female, dark or light skin, and is he masked? And the last one, what was the effect on you after the incident? Like depressions, fear, or anxiety. So this is what you need to explain to help us do the further research. So nowadays, this kind of distraction often happens everywhere. For example, public place, home, school, to place of worksheet. Like the cases that happen in the factory, from some of the data I have obtained, it can be concluded that sexual violence against children is also pretty high, considering that every year there are always at least 10 severe cases. Therefore, it is my responsibility to prevent and reduce sexual violence against children. In addition to studying a case, we also look based on the reality and the field. The result of my research show effort to prevent and reduce the occurrence of sexual violence against children. Our side is more strict in case like this, especially to the community provide further understanding, so that the community understand the impact of sexual violence against children is a quick slash. Because sexual violence greatly disrupt the scene of comfort, security, and other perpetrator of sexual violence against children should be punished. Under law number 17 of 2016 on the protection of children becoming a law, Article 8.2 and Article 8.4, namely Article 8.2 read, in this case of a criminal act as referred to in paragraph 1 committed by the intended person, While people who have a family relationship with the babysitter or committed by more than one person together. This punishment is responsible for public order, safety and security of the community. So that you can find the true origin of evil, our party can also create security for the community more oriented. And then the most important thing is that you have to be brave enough to support the people you know who are facing this problem. That is by encouraging them to oppose actions like this and take action to trouble this case to the authorities like us to protect your safety. The physical tricks to take care of your mental health, and if you observe acts of sexual harassment, witness must also dare to come forward to be a witness to make it easier for us to investigate. Also, don't trust sexual harassment as an easy joke or a simple method. You have to be brave and tell them to stop joking excessively, which will cause sexual harassment where it exists. Next, you must to follow the policy in your company and the law that aim to prevent sexual harassment or support any campaigns that aim to prevent sexual harassment. Okay, that's all for me.
Thank you so much, Miss Aina, for answering my questions and giving us insight into this issue at the case report. Next, we have an invited guest. Can you tell me the
Thank you, Mrs. Moderator, and everyone here for inviting me to provide additional information about workplace sexual harassment. First of all, before I start answer the moderator question, I want to introduce myself. My name is Ami Shaira binti Kamahalim as a victim for this forum. The case I want to share today is about a case of sexual harassment that happened to me on 29/7/2019. I made a complaint to the CEO of the company about sexual harassment. As a result of the complaint, the company conducted an investigation starting from 1/8/2019 to 16/8/2019. The committee determined that there was enough proof to hold Rizwan accountable through disciplinary punishment. Rizwan, however, received a severe discipline warning from the company Human Resource Division. I request a departmental change and was subsequently moved to the company law division. Rizwan was taken aback by the complaint, so he filed a formal complaint with the business. Rizwan emphasized that my complaint was defamatory and had hurt Rizwan's reputation as a Muslim and as a member of the senior management of the company, which led to Rizwan's contract with the business not being renewed. On August 15, 2019, Rizwan sought a restraining order against me, claimed that I had slandered him and that he had not engaged in any sexual harassment of me. I was required to publicly apologize to Rizwan and compensate him for his damage. According to Rizwan, on August 2019, I presented an defense and counterclaim against Rizwan. According to the statement of complaint from the letter of complaint, sexual harassment is as follows. In office, in office on July 19, 2019, around 15 a.m., Rizwan used abuse word with me. Without the least respect for female CEO workers, Rizwan enjoy making sex-related nasty joke in front of his subordinates. I find Rizwan use of profanity in the email to be extremely disturbing, illegal and disgusting. The fact that Rizwan has abused his authority as a boss to say whatever he wants without regard for other rights, awareness, or perception has negatively impact my mental health. Rizwan's immoral actions are also a reflection of a lack strong work ethic. In his defense, abuse word and others uttered by Rizwan has been detailed include first of all, he told her fuck you. Second, if you looking for husband, look for someone who is religious dedicated. And like me, third, he advised you have to receive the istikharah, and if you dream, you will spend time with that person. And last, he add, you don't want to marry me? I have a lot of money, you know? In essence, I accept that he has experienced emotional damage due to sexual harassment. On December 24, 2019, the Honorable Judge issued an order requiring Rizwan to pay me 2,000 in fees after the Kuala Lumpur High Court denied Rizwan claim against me. Is grant the counterclaim award damage and granted me a total amount one 2019. That's all. I hope this sharing of mine open your mind about how severe the punishment is for sexual harassment offender in Malaysia.
Thank you, Miss Ami, because you are willing to tell about your experience as a victim in a case of sexual harassment. I hope you are given strength for what has happened and look forward to the continuation of a happy life. Next, I want to ask Dr. Mustaqim. Can you tell us in what forms does sexual harassment usually take place, and how sexual harassment affect victims' mental health, and what types of training activities of support can you offer to raise the understanding of sexual harassment among school staff and students?
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And thank you for the question from our Miss Moderator. Okay, first of all, thank you for inviting me and giving me this kind of opportunity to speak about this topic. This topic, I believe, is very important because it's very relevant to nowadays, because our generation, whatever generation nowadays, I believe that they have lack of awareness, the common sense about this topic, which is sexual assault. When we talk about sexual harassment or sexual offense, it's not something odd. Okay, everywhere you go, every time you will heard about this, even in news or in school or in a workplace, we always hear about this kind of things. Okay, like what Mr. Azran just said just now. If you are a victim, you have right to report. Okay, don't be afraid to report. Okay, you as a victim, you have rights. Like Miss Aina also says, there are several punishments when you commit sexual assault. Okay, which is not good. All right. So, as someone, I'm Dr. Musakim, as someone who treats patients who deal with mental illness from this kind of sexual harassment. Okay. So, I believe that I'm eligible to talk about this topic. Okay. In Kota Baru, the Ministry of Women, which is Nancy Shukri, she mentioned that parents should be not afraid to file for any reports or move forward when their children or anyone they know been involved in this kind of crime. Okay, because it's kind of responsibility of safeguarding everyone's around them. Okay, in 2020, which is the PKP, which is the COVID era, there were 378 cases of sexual harassment, and followed it increased quite bigger in 2021 increased to 506 cases. And then, Alhamdulillah, in 2022, there's slight decrease where from 378 and increased to 506. And then it decreased to 477. All right. So back to the question from our Miss Moderator. Sexual harassment can take various forms in Malaysia or anywhere, any country. So there are several forms of sexual harassment that can be committed. For example, as you can see in the slide, okay, the first form of harassment is verbal harassment. When we talk about verbal harassment, it's about our communication. It's about our spoken, it's about our writing. Okay. For the first point, is a cyber harassment. Cyber harassment, I believe that is very relevant to nowadays because we are moving forward to 4.0 technology. So I believe that why I consider cyber harassment is kind of verbal harassment because with the rise of digital technology, sexual harassment can also occur online, including through explicit messages. Okay, messages is the verbal message, or revenge porn, or online stalking, also considered as cyber harassment, and sending sexually explicit image. Okay, this is not very good. And then, like it's mentioned here, spoken. Okay, spoken, which means that when someone speak profanity words, okay, it very sensitive towards someone with the vulgar words, okay, the dirty words, it's also considered as verbal harassment. And this will lead to humiliation. Next kind of form is non-verbal harassment. Non-verbal harassment, the verbal one is our spoken, our written, and non-verbal is more to the gestures, okay, the movements, okay. Nowadays, I believe that everywhere you go, I think you know about this, okay. Some of the generation, some of the people, okay, they will show some bad gestures like the middle finger, the movement of the bodies that showing sexual movements, okay. This considered from the sexual gestures. Okay, so this kind of form is non-verbal harassment. Even staring. Okay, when you look at someone, there are few my patients. They also include this. They felt uncomfortable when someone staring at them. Like it triggered towards sexual harassment. Okay, when someone you don't know, strangers, okay, strangers or someone you know, okay, looking at you suspiciously, okay, like that's not very good because it will trigger the uncomfortableness. This also will trigger the anxiety, okay, because the person will feel worried. Why this person staring at me like that? Okay, so that's not good. And then this kind of verbal harassment and non-verbal harassment will also lead to physical harassment. So physical harassment is more towards unwanted touching. Okay, it's like poking someone's body, touching someone's body intentionally. Okay, so this will be considered as unwanted touching, and will fall under physical harassment. All right, next. So from there's three kinds of forms of harassment. The victim will feel some of the effect, the consequences from the harassment. So the first one, this anxiety. Okay, anxiety is very common when my patient come to me. The first list that they will list definitely anxiety. Okay, anxiety means that victim may develop anxiety disorder characterized by excessive worry, okay, from the kinds of those forms of harassment, okay, they will lead to worriness, fear, and restlessness. Next, this is also cause the victim to feel depression. Depression is maybe the victim will feel sad, hopeless. They have nobody to talk, to share their story about. They feel scared to approach people out there, right? And this also will cause them to have low esteem, which they have means like when you have low esteem, you have no bravery to talk to people. Okay, so this is not good. When you don't have someone to talk about, so you will keep it in yourself, which it will trigger to other consequences like post-traumatic stress disorder, or known as PTSD. Okay, this kind of effect or illness is caused by the victim feel the flashback. Okay, the flashback, the memories, the nightmares when they are being assaulted. Okay, this also can lead towards low self-esteem, like I just said just now lah, right? Constant harassment can erode someone's self-esteem and self-worth. Means that when someone be getting harassed, okay, they lost their virginity. So they feel that the self-worth is no longer. They don't no longer feel worthy. Okay? And then this also, when they feel that they are no longer worthy, they will lead to negative self-image. Okay. So the most dangerous thing that I heard from my patient, definitely they'll do isolation. Isolation, which means that they stay alone. They have nobody to talk. They withdraw from social activities, relationship, leading to isolation and loneliness. My advice is don't, when any of you become the victim of sexual harassment, don't be alone. Okay? Don't have that kind of low self-esteem. Be brave to talk. Be brave to file for report. Okay? Because your voice matters to us. Okay? And then last but not least, physical health issue. From this kind of illness, the mental illness, right? The inside of the body, outside of the body, this will also lead to physical health issues. Chronic stress from harassment can manifest in physical health problems like headache, stomach itches, and sleep disturbances. All right. So don't worry. A happy news for all of you guys. Don't worry. This kind of crime can be prevented. Okay? Fortunately. So to raise awareness and understanding of sexual harassment more detail among staff or school students or societies or anyone in Malaysia, various activities and training and support can be done, can be implemented. Okay? So how to cope when you become the victims of the sexual harassment, or you know someone who are being involved in sexual harassment, or you are going to give talk about how to curb sexual harassment. So these are some of the effective ways on how to curb the sexual harassment. First and foremost, definitely the workshop and seminars. Okay, organize workshop and seminars on sexual harassment by preventing, reporting, and the importance of creating a safe and respectful workplace or school environment. Okay, next, the guest speaker. Like we are doing right now, we have forum, we have victim to share about their stories. This is very important. Okay, invite experts or counselors. We have Mr. Azrain, we have expert Miss Aina as the policewomen, or the survivors. We have here Miss Margaret and Miss Amin Shahira as their survivors from the sexual harassment to share their experiences and knowledge with any of you, every one of, like we are having right now. And then the third important thing is policy implementation. Okay, policy implementation must be ensured that the workplace or the school or any of the organization has clear and well communicated policies and procedures for reporting and addressing sexual harassment. Other than that, training for staff maybe would work, because I believe Miss Amni Shahira and Miss Margaret, you guys are employed as factory workers, is it? So training for staff maybe would be one of the measures that will be work in your company, perhaps. It will provide comprehensiveness training for the staff from any of the, from to all management levels, for administrators, support staff, the top management, media management, until the operative, okay, on recognizing and responding towards sexual harassment. And next, counseling service. Okay, we have Mr. Azran here as a counselor. So counseling service will work as when the victim will offer confidential counseling services for victim of sexual harassment to help them cope with the emotional and physiological effects, because we don't want the consequences, like I said just now, the emotionals, the body effects. We don't want that. And then the last but not least, my advice is find your main backbone that you could approach, which is your support group or anyone that you believe, anyone you trust. Go approach them, because this will establish support for the victim to connect with others who have experienced similar situation and share coping strategies. So I believe, inshallah, by implementing these kind of measures in workplace, schools, institution, organization, or workplace in Malaysia, this can work toward creating an environment where sexual harassment is not tolerated. We don't want sexual harassment to happen to everyone in this country or anyone in this meeting. Okay, and victims receive the support they need to recover and thrive. So that's all from me. I hope that all of this sharing session that I gave just now is very beneficial for everyone here. So that's all from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mustaqim, for a very long explanation. Very long to understand, but I hope all the panel members and the audience understand what has been said. Now, the long-awaited time has arrived. Our special invitation of a cruel victim of sexual harassment based on a true story that happened in her life, Mrs. Margaret Anastasia Martin from Sarawak. She will tell us the dark story that ever happened to her. Let's listen to her. Thank you, Miss Anna, for willing to tell about your sad experience as a victim in a case of sexual harassment. I hope you are given strength for what has happened and look forward to the continuation of a happy life. And also thank you everyone for willing to attend our forum today. Thank you to all the panelists for the good answers. And in conclusion of our panel today, addressing and combating sexual harassment is a crucial society imperative. This forum has provided a platform for open dialogue, awareness, and education on this pressing issue. It is incumbent upon us all to take the lessons learned here and translate them into concrete action in our communities, workplaces, and beyond. Together, we can strive for a future where sexual harassment is not tolerated, and all individuals can live and work free from fear and discrimination. Now, before we end our forum, let's watch the video together. Thank you. I hope everyone will take action from the videos that we show. Now, before we end our forum, we open for Q&A session. Feel free to ask us some questions.
Can I ask Inspector Aina?
Yes, can.
Does this case only happen to women?
Okay, thanks so okay, thanks for the question. So according to my research, not all these case happens to a woman, but the most case happens to women. Not many men are sexually harassed. Sometimes I also receive case of men harassing other men. So it can be concluded here that most cases like these are usually women. Thank
Okay, I have two questions to ask. So my first question, okay, so based on the topic we discussed today, which is sexual harassment, maybe a victims who are scared to get a report, okay, for this sexual harassment. So is it the report still valid if it is contains a case of sexual harassment that occurred in the past, but it was only recently reported? Okay, so maybe it takes a years for this victim has this kind of courage to get a report. So is it still accepted or valid? What do you think?
Thank you so much for the question. Okay, regarding to the question, I try to understand. The cases have been done a long time ago. Okay, and then it just been reported to certain days, which means like a long, long time ago. All right. So the question is it is valid or not? Okay. In my opinion, it's still valid because when we talk about sexual offense, sexual crime, okay, it's not a joke. Okay, it's not a joke. It's definitely something that really happens. Okay, and if someone's really had been done harassed, so definitely that they will file for report. Okay, they will file for the reports, and the report it will be evidence to make sure that to make the situation more concrete. Okay, and then I believe that it's still valid because it's the real experience from the victim.
Mm. Okay, so clear on that. My second questions. In your opinions, do predators target a young or new workers rather than the old or senior workers? Do you agree on that?
Pardon? Can you repeat the question again?
Do predators who did
Mm-hmm.
this sexual harassment, they are
Mm-hmm.
targeting a young or new workers instead of senior workers?
Okay. All right. Mr. Azran, do you have any opinion about this?
Well, in my opinion, the predators will target not just young but attracted according to them.
Mm.
All right. So in my opinion also, okay. Due to this, the moving generation, the forward generations, okay, you are moving forwards. So the youngsters, they are less aware about sexual harassments. I mean, like, I believe that this is not what I see. Okay, I believe everyone says about this, everyone notice about this. There's a lack of the consciousness, the lack of realize what this generation. I mean, like, how am I gonna say this? They don't think about sexual harassments. I mean, like they are too socially exposed to the world. Okay, which means that they don't mind about this. They don't mind about being touched. They don't mind about being hang out together, touch without I mean, like, even though you are not married, you still can sleep together. That's what youngsters do nowadays. So I believe that um, it is possible uh, if youngsters mostly involved in this kind of crime nowadays. That's all.
Okay, clear, and thank you for the presentation today. Okay, so can you continue?
So does anyone else have question for us?
I have question.
Sure. Go.
I have question to Dr. Mustaqim. Okay, as someone who deals with mental illness, what your best advice to prevent myself from being alone?
Okay, thank you for the question from Miss Alita. All right, so my advice is not to get alone. Like I said just now, how to get your support. Okay, go find someone, go find your group, go find your support system, anyone you comfortably to talk about this. Okay, don't sit alone, don't do the solitude, don't do the loneliness. Okay, you have voice to speak. Okay, when you have something in your heart but you are afraid to talk about, you cannot do that. Okay, I mean, like, some of the people will do that. Maybe the matters is not that very serious, but when it's about mental illness, you cannot stay alone. Go find your support system. Okay, to not prevent you from being alone, or even you can go to counselor for the treatment, or maybe you can go for walk. Okay, you can go for walk around in the evening. You can go do some of the exercises. Some of the exercises like running or walking or jogging, it will help to prevent from you to think about your mental illness. Okay, are you clear, Miss Lalita?
Okay. Thank
All
you,
right.
Mus.
Okay.
So thank you everyone for willing to attend today's forum. For the attendees, please fill in your attendance on the link we have provided in the comment. Thank you so much everyone. Till we meet again.
Okay, thank you groups. Okay, end your record first before we start